Good morning. Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 8 says, "When we were utterly helpless, Christ came at just the right time and died for us sinners." Now, most people would not be willing to die for an upright person, though someone might perhaps be willing to die for a person who is especially good. But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. Two very tragic scenes have taken their place in the national media over the past couple of months. They share similarities, though they aren't the same. There's the Parkland school shooting and the Uvalde school shooting. Of course, the Uvalde school shooting occurred recently, and there seems to be a continuing trickle of information that stirs public anger toward the police officers who didn't attempt to intervene. Now, the Parkland shooting is back in the news as the shooter is facing sentencing for murdering 17 people. Many people forget that the Parkland shooting, which occurred 4 years ago, almost 4.5 now, had a similar circumstance as Uvalde. There was an armed school resource officer, a police officer, who was stationed at the school. He was on campus and he hid instead of attempting to stop the shooter. I've spoken with several of my friends who are police officers, and there seems to be universal confusion as to why the police in Uvalde didn't attempt to intervene. As I read these verses today, that came to mind, but then I started to think in a different direction. I asked myself, would there be the same outrage if this shooting happened at the state penitentiary, at the Sussex penitentiary, not too far from here? Would there be the same outrage if a shooter had shown up and started shooting at convicted felons instead of innocent children? I think not. At some level, most people wouldn't think that it was worth trading the life of an officer for a rapist, a murderer, or a child molester. It's not the same. Which is exactly the point of these verses. Someone might be willing to die for a person who is especially good or innocent. Most of us would like to think that we would have been willing to die to save those kids. But look, God didn't send his son Jesus to die for us because we were so good or so innocent. Jesus died for us, the spiritual convicts, the felons, those who sinned. Jesus died for us in spite of how bad we were, not because of how good we were. That's what makes this verse so powerful. But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. Pray with me. Lord, it's hard for my mind to grasp how deep your love is for us. How much you love me. Not because I'm so good, but in spite of my sin. Lord, all I can do is say thank you for that kind of love. And Lord, I pray that you would help us because we've been spared, because our lives have been redeemed, bought back from death. That you would help us to intervene in the lives of others who are facing spiritual death. And to share your love with them too. We pray this in Jesus' strong name. Amen. Okay, friends. Hope you have a great day. God bless you. See you again tomorrow.